Ladies and gentlemen, I'm reading a New York Post article. It is believed that Trump 76 will need to be fingerprinted and processed like every other defendant should he be indicted, but Secret Service, quote, will take the lead in what they will allow or will not allow, including the decision on whether to handcuff the former president, a source inside the New York court system told Fox News on Friday. Okay, so he's very likely not going to be handcuffed. That picture will excite a great many Democrats, but it would really tarnish. You want to talk about democracy. It would undermine democracy because everybody on this planet knows that they just wanted to get Trump. It has nothing to do with the rule of law or a balanced judicial system. You have Democrats in New York who despise Trump. So this is the New York Post. Authorities prepping for possible Trump indictment over Stormy Daniels' hush money. They can't stop him in 24. If Georgia and Arizona Republican parties back Trump, if they want Hillary Clinton in 24, and I think Hillary Clinton will be the nominee for the Democratic Party, I have been saying that they're going to indict Trump. I have been saying they have to because they can't rest upon policies or achievement. Democrats caused this bank run by pushing to shut down economic activity. Every left-leaning pundit will omit that from their condemnation of big banks and bailouts. And Democrats, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren gave either tacit approval or gleefully pushed Democratic governors to shut down economies. Then they raised interest rates through the roof because inflation was skyrocketing. Biden came in, went after oil and gas companies when there was no other alternative, when the United States economy runs on oil and gas. And then we're 90 seconds to midnight. We're 90 seconds to midnight according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. There's an invasion in Europe, and it's been a year now. None of this would have happened with Trump. We wouldn't have had the inflation. We wouldn't have had the invasion in Europe. But there are people who are, on Twitter. I don't have Twitter, but there are former, cable news and, current network executives that are just so giddy and gleeful and malicious. Oh my God, the malice. They can't wait. They can't wait for Trump to be indicted. The problem is he's the Obi-Wan Kenobi of politics. Every person in this country will know the indictment was purely political. The FEC didn't even view this as a criminal violation. Now, the hush money issue we'll get to in a second. Yes, he did have a romantic relationship, even though he denies that, which could be a sticky point. He denies it. That's the only reason they're really going after him, because they can't get him on the Mueller probe, which was a complete fabricated farce. The Mueller probe, he never worked with the Kremlin. So that's number one. He never pressured anyone, even the president of that country being invaded now, having been invaded for the past year, stated now that never happened. They couldn't get him on pressuring people in Georgia. They couldn't get him on criminal tax fraud. Okay. They're getting him on this because it's a state-level crime, but also you have Democrats in New York who have failed in every attempt at getting him. So again, Trump is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of politics. He'll regain the White House if you get Georgia and Arizona, 26, 27, votes that you need on that day in 24. Okay? If Georgia and Arizona Republican parties don't back Trump the way they didn't back Herschel Walker, then I said you'll get either 4 more years of Biden, but I think Hillary Clinton will be the nominee. I think it'll be a rematch. They're trying desperately to knock him out of 24. Trump indicted or even convicted will easily win the GOP nomination and either win or get close to winning and regaining the Oval Office. Number one, like I said, hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of my viewers, look, it's understandable. Like, people are numb. I get it. They're numb. Nothing's ever going to happen. I'll do a video on Hunter and what the New York Post and what James Comer has revealed. with payments and quid pro quo. Nothing's ever gonna happen. Well, now the Democrats are very good at using the court system. They're very good at using media and optics. They're very good at being tenacious. And Trump Republicans, I just feel like, the Durham probe didn't lead to anything. So, oh my God, you have Jim Jordan and James Comer. You have the House that's going to impeach Biden. You have, unfortunately, a financial collapse that could very likely is going to happen, an 2008 type of collapse. That's not a good thing. I'm not looking forward to that. That's a bad thing. But these are all events, terrible situations that Trump could say, hey, listen, everyone knows that he's a better president than the current occupant of the Oval Office. Everyone knows that Trump's economy, his economic performance, and his foreign policy is much better than what we see now. Unfortunately, United States politics has become a dysfunctional 80s high school class. You have Jimmy Kimmel, all the cool kids, all the executives in Hollywood and in media and Washington Post and New York Times and MSNBC and CNN and all of these Silicon Valley and tech. If I was one of the ladies at The View, I'd say, well, you voted for this. Notice how everything bad is taking place. Bank runs, 90 seconds to midnight, foreign policy catastrophe under Biden, but nobody says, well, you voted for this. You voted for Biden. You voted for all of these things. Possible World War, possible 3. Oh my God, you voted for these things. Nobody says that. Anything bad that happened under Trump, you voted for that. You voted for that. And so the mentality was, it's about personality. People don't care about the poor economy we have, inflation through the roof, real wages down. We didn't have these problems with Trump. And if you want to say his last year in office, he wanted to open up the economy in March of 2020. They said no too soon. Then they opened up about 2 years later completely. And so that wasn't Trump's policies. That was the policy of the Democratic Party. And then they raised interest rates because inflation went through the roof. Because they opened up after shutting down economic activity, which none of these pundits on the left that talk about justice and equality even bring up. They just think they had to do it. It was a choice. It was not something you had to do. It was a choice pushed by bureaucrats and media and experts and Democrats. That wasn't Trump's policy. His last year in office was commandeered. But see, again, I try to tell people, look at the macroeconomic viewpoint. Nobody's really going to care about this segment probably. But unfortunately, next week, I think that they can't wait. Democrats in New York can't wait to indict Trump. It's not going to stop him. It's not going to stop him at all. He can't be convicted of a violation if he spent the money for personal reasons to just, ensure that his family or wife didn't know about what was going on with Stormy, because that is not a campaign finance violation within the campaign finance statute. It is a violation if he did so a week before November of 2016 because he thought he would lose to Clinton. But nobody would have cared. He would have gained votes had he said, "Oh yeah, I had a romantic relationship with Stormy." He would have gained votes in 2016. He probably would gain votes being indicted because everybody knows it's a complete. They are so desperate. When you devote your life to trying to take down somebody just because you don't like his personality, that's what it comes down to. All of those people, he's dangerous. You're talking about a personality that you despise, that you think is... they can't just say they don't like Trump. They have to say his personality, his words, undermine democracy. They just create a fantasy in their mind. That's why when BuzzFeed published the Steele dossier, you don't have the equivalent. It's the antithesis. You have the New York Post being silenced and censored by Twitter. BuzzFeed is allowed to publish complete fake news about Trump, but the truth about Hunter and Joe is not allowed to be published. Everyone knows what's going on. You're not deceiving anybody. So, be here next week. Definitely be here this weekend. It's almost like you should almost look forward to it because it's only going to help Trump. If you stumble upon this, you're a wonderful, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat. You think indicting Trump in New York with a bunch of Democrats gleeful and full of malice and vitriol and contempt, you think that's going to prove that he's not fit for office? When we have mashed potato brains in 90 seconds to midnight with bank runs and inflation through the roof and every other problem we have from crime to homelessness? Are you kidding me? Trump was a better president, and this will only prove that if they go after him, they can go after anyone in this country. So they will indict him because impeachment's around the corner, and they can't stop them, and he's already defeating mashed potato brains in polls. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Share this segment everywhere.